Hello, everyone. And in this episode, I've got a special guest with me. Her name is Lillian Victoria. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be speaking to you today. I know you've got quite the story to share, and we're going to get into all of that. So, to start off with, Lillian, please introduce yourself and what do you do?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you so much for having me. I am a high performance coach, a speaker, and with 15 years of entertainment experience. So, what I do right now is I help people turn their ideas and manifest them into reality. So that's
Hmm.
what I do in all areas of their life. Specifically, I focus with entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs, when they go out there, they're the huge vision. So we want to maximize that. And I always say, activate your human potential to maximize your revenue potential, because that is all in our belief system. So that's what I do.
Wow, that is so powerful. When you talk about vision in terms of entrepreneurs having a vision, now you being a high performance coach, I imagine that, and being in entertainment as well, I imagine that you would have had a big vision a long time ago. So talk to us about, where did this all kind of start your journey?
Yeah, to be honest with you, my own vision didn't come out until a few years ago, because that's when I started to focus on who I am, what I want.
Mm-hmm.
Before I was very much the person that followed the masses, what is logical, right? And built that life where everything looks good on resume. But then inside I was very empty. So, when I got into the movie industry, it was based on a very simple idea, right? And let me remind you, when I went to school, the world was very different. The digital age was very different. So I had this very simple idea that I could use movie as a portal to find my father. Right? I was raised by my mom, a single mom, two kids, and my dad was never around. Last time I saw him when I was 6 years old. So I wanted a lot of answers.
Mm-hmm.
So there was that drive that led me into the film business. Was it that I wanted to be famous? No, it was because I really believed at some point that this was going to help me get there. And the ride was amazing. Like, I had a great time and I climbed really fast until I found him. And that's when everything became more of a job.
Wow, that's very different in terms of that desire goes really deep in terms of, that you had this sort of glamorous life perceived to be, and chasing after that, but then all came down to the search for your father. And I'm wondering, in terms of that side of things, that desire, like what kind of answers were you really seeking for?
I just wanted to know why he would leave. Like, I'm a mother now. Um, and I would say, being a mom myself right now, I would never leave my son. Never, ever, ever. And now I'm speaking as a mom. Before I was a mom, I think it was daddy's little girl having that desire to have the father in life, but I never had. And so I just want to know why, because our relationship was really good before he left. So I had no idea why he left. I've heard one side of the story, but as you grow and even as a young adult, you just feel like you need to hear the full picture.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I was definitely driven by that why. Is it a healthy why? I don't know, but I do know that it was a desire out of love. Right.
Yeah, for sure. Especially if you're missing that piece for yourself.
Yeah.
When you found him, you said that you managed to reconnect. Um,
On So I found him on ancestry.com.
right. Okay. I didn't even know
And
that. I have heard of that before, that people go and seek that.
yeah.
Is there actually information, or like as in there's information there, that you
Yeah,
can
you
actually
type
source
in,
out where they are?
yes, you type in your name and everything comes out. And also, now that I'm older too, I do have friends that are detectives. So I'm able to like get their help as well,
Mm.
to double check with the information. And by the way, I promise you, I am not endorsing like as
Yeah.
this, you're not going to help pay me, but I did cross check and we found him. I have not met him yet. I've reached out to him. I sent a paper mail. I don't have his email.
Mm-hmm.
The phone number didn't work, but then there's a few addresses. So, the reason why I didn't meet up with him, because I said earlier, right? Like I was building this life that looked so good on the outside, but I didn't have a purpose until the past few years. And the reason why is because I went through a huge season where I lost everything. You could call it depression, um, rock bottom, right? I lost my marriage, and that was when I decided I had to focus. Before I could reach out to my father and deal with why he left me, I had to rebuild myself. And
Mm.
not only for myself, I have to be strong, I have to be healthy, I have to go through my healing process so I'm whole for my son, because I don't want my son to go through what I went through.
Mm. Talk us through the healing process, because I know that, and I've experienced loss myself on many different levels with many different people. But that kind of loss that goes all the way back to that childhood, is something that, especially if you're not getting the answers or you haven't sort of reconnected, it can continue to be a void, or you can continue to seek the answers as well. So, talk us through, I guess, what was that healing process like? Like, did it happen while you were in the career or after the loss, the recent loss you mentioned?
So I would say the healing started after I lost my marriage, because
Mm-hmm.
I lost everything. Not just marriage, the business, the startup that I was doing, um, everything, my identity. I didn't even know like if I want to be in entertainment. Um, so I got to that point where now this is a great opportunity for me to rebuild myself up, right?
Mm.
So the pivot point, the transformation question that I asked myself, which I didn't have the answer at the time, is who am I? I realized, being in Los Angeles, being in a crazy business, my identity has been always associated to what school do I go to? What are my grades?
Mm.
Is my job? What title do I have? How much money do I make? Am I married? Right? But then the thing is, it's like, so who is Lillian? What do you want to do? It was blank. Like I could go find another job, but is that what I want to do? Or am I just surviving? And the change came when I realized that I was doing so much. It looked like I was so successful on the outside because people would tell me that, you know, um, and I didn't feel that way. It was not fulfilled. And
How
that's when
did
I
you?
went to
Yeah.
discovery of who I am. And that's when the healing started. What were you
the
saying?
15 the 15 years that you got into entertainment, I mean, that, so you said like it was for the search, the real desire was search for your father and to be seen and found. How did you feel during that time when you said like you didn't have a purpose, but that was the sole purpose? You still have to show up to all of these events and be with all of these people, and like, to be able to show up. How were you feeling though at the time, if you weren't feeling fulfilled?
Yeah, it just feels like a job. Just it feels like a job. Like I don't jump up from bed, and many people can probably can relate. It's just like the alarm goes up, I snooze, and then it's just a routine. I get my things done, and that's it. There's no excitement, there's no growth. And I later did learn, if you're not growing, you're dying. Right?
Mm.
Have you ever been in a situation where, oh, you learn so much and you feel so good,
Yeah.
right? And I didn't have that because the desire wasn't there. It became a job. It became that I was following other people, like to tell me what to do. I was, trying to put together a show so we could make money. It was about making money. And I was remembering the Bible, it says, what's a profit man to gain the entire world to loses his own soul? And I remember that because I remember feeling that. And here I am, I'm like a high paying executive at the time. And I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Right. And, and I would always remember this. Someone told me there's a huge difference between just financial success, right? And then living a life of fulfillment.
Yeah, hugely. What did success back then? What did that mean to you? Or what was success defined as?
Yeah. Oh, it was getting married around 30 years old or younger. So I was engaged by 29, married at 30. So I hit that mark. It was having a good job, owning a house, right? And yeah, that was it. That's what I thought. And having stable incomes. That was my version of sex before success.
Yeah.
And I think that's where people hit midlife crisis, right? So I'm grateful that I went through all that at a young age, because I didn't go through my divorce, my transition to when I was 35. Even that was a shift, because during that time I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so old. What am I going to do? I can't go back to my MBA. Like, those were the negative thoughts that was going on. But now I could tell you that was so young, and now I'm 38 and I feel like I'm so young. There's so much more I could do. That's a change in the mindset. My mind was set in a certain way that was not healthy. It was not growth. It was in lack, and it was in limiting. It was based on fear. But now there's so much out there that we could go and create. And every day I wake up and I'm excited. You talked about, I have this vision. Now I have a huge vision, and I don't plan to stop until I get there. There's a lot of learning and falling and trials and errors. But every time something happens, I'm moving forward, I'm growing. So versus before, when I make a mistake at a job, guess what happens? You're in big trouble.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now it's like, no, if I don't do that, then I'm not going to learn. Right.
What's really interesting is that you mentioned about the whole, you didn't really find yourself or know who you are until recent years, even though you had gone through this whole career. But you said feeling like it's a job. On the outside, when everyone's sort of looking inwards or looking at your resume, you would appear to be that successful person who had it all, who had the house and the husband and the house and all of these things that people want, right? People want these things. But then when you said that it's like a job and that you didn't feel like you were growing as well, but having to sort of be that person, 15 years is a long time. There's a lot of opportunities that where you encounter challenges dealing with different people throughout that. You're still growing in different ways. But
Yes.
how is that growth different to the growth that you experience after finding yourself or knowing who you are?
Oh, great question. So I would say the growth when I didn't have that desire when it was a job, it's like life experience, and all of those experiences very valuable, because one thing I learned is those experiences could carry out to all areas in my life, no matter what I do. Right. So the difference with now, when I experience these quantum leaps, because everything I'm doing now is in alignment with who I am, versus before I was not who I am. I didn't even know who I am. I just wanted to be validated by the people around me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now the shift came when I know who I am. I'm no longer seeking their validation and acceptance. And in fact, what happened is, once I know who I am, I start to lead my life, and people that believe in the vision and what I do, they come around me. So that's the shift.
Wow.
I'm not pleasing people anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that industry, I'm sure there's a lot of, because it's quite cliquey, you need to be quite good at networking, know a lot of people and all of that. When you are doing the people pleasing side of things, I almost see it when you were saying it's like almost like having those checkpoints that you're ticking off. It's like, I want to please this person, I want to get this validation, tick that off. So the growth has checkpoints in terms of getting money, getting a deal, producing a movie or something. But then I guess, like, because it's not aligned to you, it's more like you're growing from experience, but those other people, it's like for someone else's vision in a sense.
Yeah.
So then,
you
yeah,
want to
yeah,
get the job done. Let's put it that way. Just very simple. You want to
yeah.
get the job done, and to, when you say people pleasing and all that, in Hollywood, it's there's a saying, you want to get your phone calls returned.
Yeah.
It's that simple. When your phone calls don't get returned, you're nobody. That's literally a saying. When people return your calls, usually they want something from you. There's a favor or something. So that was the mindset
Yeah.
in the Hollywood culture, right? So, and the thing is, like, when you don't get those calls returned, when you don't close those deals, you're chasing, and then things still don't work out, and it's not something that you're like so passionate about. Then you question yourself, what are you doing? What am I doing? There's always going to be growth, because then you learn how to deal with people, you learn how to handle difficult situations, right? And that it's still a growth process. But I would say when you grow in something that you desire so much, that you know that you want it, that you are willing to persist and chase after for yourself, not for anyone else, and you don't feel stressed, but you feel excitement, scary and excitement, all that, that's a different flow and an energy, right?
Yeah.
That's a different kind of growth, because that's internal growth.
What was the energy that you were going after before, in terms of being raised from, like, like a broken family, as you say, from young, right? There's a lot of fear. Like, because I've been through it as well. Like, the worst fear when you're young is like that your parents leave, or both parents leave. Like, it's the worst. What kind of energy were you sort of feeding into that career path or into your relationship when you got married?
Surviving. I was always surviving. I was not living. That's a difference. I was surviving. I was surviving to get the job. I was surviving to get everything afloat. I was so worried about becoming my mom. And you know what? Without the awareness, because thoughts are things, that's manifestation, thoughts, feelings, and action. You want to be very clear with what you want. I had no idea what I wanted, but I knew what I didn't want. So what I didn't want manifested. So that's why, looking back, when I was going through that, I took 1 year blaming everyone around me. Why my life is like this? What did I do? Blah, 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 blah. And then to only realize, oh, I manifested this. And to understand how the human mind works. What is this thing called the law of nature, right? Energy, frequency, vibration. What is this? Why are there so many people studying this? Why is there a whole book called Think and Grow Rich about it? To really study it, to understand it. And now all of a sudden life becomes very simple. So I went from surviving to living. Same life, different perception, different reality, right?
There are so many people out there that may not even realize that they're in survival mode, because when you're going through it and you're in the thick of it, in this career, relationships that you're in, you may not really realize that that's the energy that you're bringing, or that's why you're manifesting things. So having been that person who's been through it already, what would be some advice or wisdom that you could provide to allow people to awaken or realize that there are, what are the triggers that to know that I'm in survival mode and this is not what I want?
Just look at your result. If your way's not working, it is okay to ask for help. That's what I've learned. I'm Chinese, and our culture, how I grew up in, just the school system, and it's like you don't want to ask for help because you look dumb, right? You're supposed to
so much pride as well.
So much pride. That's the environment I was raised, until when it was just not working. The awakening point was 35 years of my life. I don't even know who I am. and my way was not working. And I recognized I didn't have proper mentorship in my parenting. My mom was not there. I don't have a dad. I had to learn everything on my own. So that's when I sought help. I started off with therapy. Therapy was great for a short time. I understand why I am the way I am. I talked a lot about my past, my childhood, my inner child, and that pretty much that formed my paradigm. Paradigm is your habitual way of thinking, your belief and your self-image and who you are. And I don't want to be there. So coaching, mentorship, what that helped me was extract me from the past, right? And then created my purpose. And when I mean created, I found my purpose.
Mm.
I start to see my big vision and my goal. And the bigger that vision, the goal came into my life, the more I was inspired by it, the more I become one with it. Okay. I was far removed from the past. And that's how I got out from the victim mindset. That's a shift. I got out from the victim into who I am right now, into growth, into life, into fulfillment, into joy, right? Into abundance.
If you go back to every experience that you've been through so far, would you change any of it?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah. Do you think that you have to go through that to even get to the point of like, hey, you know, like I'm going to seek help, or I'm going to look within. I need to find my purpose, which is not found outside, but within, right? But had you not have gone through that, do you think that you could be able to uncover the real you?
You know what? I believe that everything happens for a reason. I don't believe in accidents. You know, I really believe that I was created by the universe and God, and I'm here to co-create. And my mindset and my belief is universe put me through all that so I could go out and help people that are going through it. Right. So would I do things differently? Yeah, I would. But then without going through that experience, I would have never learned, and I had never grown from it. And then if I go through those now without those experience, I would make the same mistake. Right. But the decision came with my story. You know, if we had done this interview when I was in my early 30s, I would show up as a very different person. There was that defining moment when I made a decision that that's not my story. You know, I'm not going to hide anymore. I'm not going to pretend I'm this perfect person. I'm not going to pretend that I have it all when I'm freaking out inside. I'm going to talk about it, and it's okay to be vulnerable. And that's when you can talk about it and still be you, that's when you're taking the power back of who you are. And that's when the shift happens.
Yeah.
You know, before, I never talk about my past, my problems, my childhood, all the abuses. Now I talk about, because someone out there, I know there is going to be that one person that needs to hear this to give them some kind of hope, because I was that person. I was that person that was looking desperately everywhere to know that I'm going to be okay, because no one could tell me that. I didn't have anyone to say, not only they're going to be okay, you're going to be even better. Like, I could not find that.
Yeah. I wish I had someone like that as well, you know, like until you really go through it, do you feel like, yeah, that it would have been great if you had someone there, but that is part of the story. That's part of the movie. So I'm wondering, when you say as well, I know this is going to be a point that may resonate with some people. When you mentioned about the nationality being Chinese, because I'm also Chinese as well, and the whole sense of pride and not like wanting to ask for help. If, you know, you go back to the past, what would you say to yourself, given, you know, the environment and the cultural sort of that you're in, situation that you're in? It's very hard for, I guess, even a lot of people right now to be like, well, I'm surrounded by, you know, this is my culture, this is my background, this is how I'm raised, this is my story, all of that. I can't go and ask for help, even if I'm struggling. I can't go and be authentic and open myself up to allow people in. I'm struggling, but hey, like I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna run and just prove them wrong. That's the attitude. Yeah, what would you say to yourself or say to other people in that when they're suffering in their own silence?
You know what I would say? I tell my son this every day. Speak up. You have a voice. Use it. You have a thought. God put it there for a reason. You are more than enough. So speak up. That's what I would say over and over to my son. And he speaks up in class. That's a one thing. Because before I was a person that never raised my hand, sit in the back, let alone speaking on stage. But now I love speaking on stage. Right. And looking back, it's self-esteem. It's so scared of, I might say the wrong thing. I might get in trouble. You know, I've challenged my teacher. I grew up in Taiwan. So I was born in America, LA, raised in Taiwan for a little bit and came back. And that little part in Taiwan really changed my life in many different ways, because the school system there is very strict. It's very rigid.
Yeah.
It's you're good, you're bad. It's there, you know, you get punished, right?
Yeah.
You talk back to your teacher. The culture is you're not supposed to ask questions and talk back, because when you challenge your teacher, you're disrespecting them. So I got in trouble in every way you could think of. It didn't really help that I was this American girl that's going there too. So there you have that layer of problems. But I would always remember that even if I disagree, there's one story that I would never forget. Okay, so it was 5th grade. My teacher at the time was also English teacher. So he had asked me in front of the whole class, and back then there was like 40, 50 kids. And he said, Lillian, is there dodgeball in America? And I was like, yeah, it's called dodgeball. He humiliated me in front of the whole class saying, you're a liar. There's no such thing as dodgeball. And I was a little girl. I didn't know what to do. You know, I know I wasn't the best, like I was an A student for sure. And that always stuck with me. And ever since then, and not only that, he said my best career is to be a janitor. Right. So that, what I didn't know then was, you know, I just kind of let it go. You just think whatever a teacher said, it is, it is. But what I didn't realize is how it really affected my whole life with that comment. You know, because you spoke the truth. And growing now, I mean, I wish I had Googled them, because all I had to do is Google it to prove that I was right. Right. But I'm still looking back, changing that perception. I'm very proud of myself for defending myself, saying there is a dodgeball. There is, because even after that, I was scolded from the whole class saying that there is no such thing as sport in America. I remained like, yes, there is, you know.
Yeah. So you still take that stand.
I took the stand. The only thing is I didn't get validation, because no one there knows if there's dodgeball or not. Like they never even left the country probably, right? But use your voice. It's there for a reason. Never let anyone talk you down, even if they're a teacher, because teacher, the only difference is they have this credential. And I love what Les Brown said. He didn't say it in a teacher context. He said it in a doctor. He said, you know, you have to believe in yourself, in your health, and your state of mind, and knowing where you're heading towards. Because most of the people, when they're on their deathbed, when they're in hospital, it's 95% of them are having a mental illness because they got the news that was delivered by the doctor. But then you peel it back, what school did this doctor go to, right? Did they have good grades? Maybe they made a mistake. They're humans too. People get diagnosed all the time. So you have to take that back. This is where you're connecting with your source, connecting with who you are.
Isn't
and
that
that's
powerful?
when you're unshakable.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Talk us through a little bit, because I'm really curious, and people would be as well. Your career, if we go back to, because you mentioned about the status and, you know, that everyone's human as well. Talk us through about, I guess, the kind of people that you were hanging out with, the kind of environment that you were in terms of the glitz and glamour, and how you were within that, how you sort of behaved, or like what's different then till now.
Yeah. So yeah, I've worked on a few movies. I've worked with definitely like A-list. The biggest name I've worked with was Bruce Willis, right? Didn't have much contact, but because everyone on set was scared of him, even the producer. um, but and I've worked with a number of Academy Award winning, you could say, directors, actors, even costume designers, and also a lot of people that's trying to make it. And I would say the thing is, they're all human. I still have some friends that are pretty notable, and people be like, oh, how does it feel to be this person's friend or that person's friend? I'm like, they're just human. Like, there's no difference between you and me and them. In fact, they want to keep their life private. They have their insecurities as well. But what I have learned and seen, and this is before I even became a coach, I observed that the people that know who they are, they're very clear with what they want. They have a very strong mind. They're very strong. Like, I'm just going to use an example, Kim Kardashian. I don't know her. Okay. I just want to put it out there. But, she has a very strong mind for everything that she's endured and all the criticism she's got from the media and where she's at right now, to keep her moving. And look at what she's doing for the world with the justice system, right? So, and also the way you treat people, with Kim Kardashian, they're known to treat the people around them very good. The bigger the directors, the bigger the names I've worked with, they treat everyone equally. I still remember, this was at the Four Seasons, Tom Twicker. I was working on this movie called Cloud Atlas. Tom Twicker and the Wachowskis came, and the general manager, of course, came out to say hi, and he had like a can of Coke. He was going to take the Coke. The general manager of the hotel was going to take it and throw it away. He's like, no, you can't do that. Because he treated him like a human, versus the people that are not as successful, they treat the assistants, people around them, like crap. They treat, so that is one of the very notable characteristics. They know what they want, especially the directors. They know what they want. They're clear with the vision. They set a plan, they follow through. That's a lot of decision making right there, right?
Yeah.
They follow through on their plans, and they treat people the way they want to be treated.
They
treat people as they are the most important person in their world, right? And later, what I've learned is it's energy. When you have good energy, that's when the results are showing up. That's when people like to come to you. That's when your success starts showing up. And that's when you also have fulfillment.
Yeah.
Right?
Beautiful point, because when you said about, the other people or the assistants and all of that, not that we're saying there's anything, status, obviously there's different industries, there's all different types of statuses and, like titles that you can have and all of that. But the empowering thing that you mentioned there is that the energy, because everything is energy. So there's people who have the energy in lack, and then there's people who have the energy in abundance. And the energy in lack, I believe, is where you're mentioning about, the people who are not treating people very nicely, or just, quite being nasty or being quite competitive. There is a lot of that going on, especially when people don't feel like they have it and they want something. There is a big desire to act out in different ways. But that can be a shift for someone. I don't know who this is for, but when you increase your energy or raise your vibration, that's when things change. That's when you're the bigger person, when you're the person who's very clear about who you are and how you want to be in the world, then you can really be the change. Yeah. But until you realize that, like if you're going to keep going, well, I want this and not that person, I'm going to, step on this person, that kind of energy manifests in different ways as well.
100%. And yeah, you just nailed it. Thoughts are things, and we are energy. We are energy, frequencies, and vibrations. So and another thing too, with any high achiever in our life, and this could go all area, they're very focused on one thing, on what they want to accomplish. And what I find with that, when I do that, I stopped caring about what I have no room for other people's judgments and opinions, right? Everyone has an opinion.
Mm.
Everyone has to say something. I really have no room for that. You know, I thank you for your time, but I keep moving. That's the difference between when I wasn't laser focused with what I want, when I was just kind of doing what I'm doing. Everything around me was so loud because the inside was empty.
Mm.
One comment from someone is like screaming inside of me. Then I become
Yeah.
paralyzed. That's a difference.
Yeah.
And
Because
that's
you
why
don't
it's
have
like,
the armor, I guess. Like if you feel empty inside, it's like one bullet goes in and it goes deep and you take it personally, versus like if you were after something else, the energy that's outside of you, that vision, you know who you are, and it's emanating, if that's the word, emanating outside, then you've essentially got your bulletproof vest on. Don't really care.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And just and I teach this to my son all the time. You know, he's first grade. He came home one day of sex. He said someone did this. It's a L shape. So he's like, so
Mm.
you call me a loser. I was like, so why are you letting that affect you? That's none of your problem. That's his problem. That's his business. Why are you
Mm.
letting his business getting in yours? And I was like, are you a loser? He's like, no, of course I'm not. Then don't even think about it. I am perfect the way I am.
Yeah.
Right. So
It's
that's a
when
that too. Yeah.
it's when there's a word for it, when you let it invest is not the word. There's a word for it. When you let, it's like embodying, um, but you allow other people's thoughts and judgments into your being.
Yeah.
And you carry that energy with you and it sort of expands. It's like, you know, then
Yeah.
you get a different result.
And I love what you just said right now, actually. You know, we talked about we're all energy, right? When people are criticizing or judgmental, what kind of energy are they operating in? And it is
Mm.
our duty, our responsibility to either not allow that in, or it's going to come in, it's going to affect us.
Mm-hmm.
So if we take that to a deeper level, one thing that I've learned, and admittedly I was that person in the past, was I was extremely judgmental because I was raised by an extremely judgmental and critical mom, and also in this environment. So I would criticize people, and it was a habit,
Mm-hmm.
right? And probably I did it because, one, that's the only thing I know, but two, to make myself feel better because there was a void inside. I
Yeah.
don't do it anymore because I don't have time, to be transparent. I don't have time for other people's business. I have only time for myself. And that's when it changed, because once I start to realize and understand, and when I change, people can change. It's only if you want to. Now when I hear people gossip and criticize, it's like it doesn't even bother me anymore, because now I look at that's a reflection on them. It has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
Reflection on them. It's their reality, what they see and what they think. And I live in my reality, and I own my reality. I don't own theirs. And we can't change other people. That's another thing. You cannot change other people. Whoever's hearing this, like, take that to your heart. It's going to save you so much trouble, because the only person we could change is ourselves. And when you change, the people around you will start to change. Right.
There's so much wisdom within that. The change, when you can't change other people, and I tell people all the time as well, I think you can influence other people, you know, through yourself and your being and all of those things. In your relationship, if we can go to that point, did you think that you could change him or the situation?
My last marriage?
Mm.
Yeah, of course. Like, I
Yeah.
would go to marriage therapy and be like, he did this wrong, I did this wrong, he's trying to change me, I'm trying to change him. And it just not a happy ending, because then it's like I'm trying to be this person that I'm not. He's trying to be this person that he's not, and we're all walking on eggshells. But the power came in, the healing came in when you peel out the onion and be like, no, but this is who I am. I can't be that other person. I've tried for 15 years to be that person that you wanted me to be. And that's not who I am. And the moment that I accepted the fact that I am actually perfectly imperfect, but I am the way I am, and I am perfectly designed, and I have perfect DNA, that's when I started to claim myself for who I am and walked away. And
Mm.
that's when, I always say this, you cannot change the people around you, but you could change the people around you. So what happened was, once I knew who I was, I walked out from this shell. There are people in my life that was gone. And there are
Yeah.
people that love me, accept me for who I am, that is in alignment in my energy and frequency. They came into my life. There are people in my life that was able to influence, and we created a stronger bond in my life. And that's when the change starts to happen, right?
Yeah. And that's the thing, coming from, your wisdom, is that a lot of people can be really afraid of loss, especially in a marriage, like, or a situation they've been in, a job. Like, I've worked 15 years in entertainment, then I'm not gonna just leave that all behind and start a new career. But there's this sense of like, I'm afraid of the uncertainty. I'm afraid of stepping out of this relationship or leaving it behind, or really I'm afraid of stepping into myself. Because if I was really authentic to myself, then, like you said, some people are going to leave, right? So we focus on like all the loss. There's a big fear on loss. But then with your wisdom, you're saying that because the more that you are yourself in alignment, then the right people are going to be there. So you're really not going to be alone.
No. So I think what you're saying is, when people are so scared to make these decisions, is a lot of people are afraid of the fear of uncertainty.
Mm.
So when you're you know what you want, you create the certainty. That is something that you create for yourself. That is your belief. That goes very deep rooted. Right? Confidence is there. The fear of uncertainty is you don't know what's going to happen. That's when the worry and doubt comes in. That's when anxiety comes in. That's when your body's in disease. That's why people get sick and there's cancer. But when we create our own certainty and you live that life, then now you're in creation mode. You are inspired. And to do that, you got to fill yourself with knowledge. Knowledge is key, right? Fill yourself with knowledge. Now you're in creation mode. Now your body is at ease.
Yeah.
And now you're living in the life of fulfillment and prosperity. There are people in this world, older, there are people in their 80s waiting to retire or die. And there are people in their 80s, living the life, don't plan to retire. They're healthy, they're happy, they're wealthy. Why is that? Right?
Yeah. I think one thing I think people want to know, huge fear around, I don't want to be alone. If I step away from this, or if I leave this, oh my God, the amount of people that I've seen, heard, felt about, I'm in this abusive relationship, I know that this isn't right for me. They keep adding on, I'll add on a kid. Maybe I can band-aid that. Maybe I'll just keep adding on different things and hope that like things will get better. But sometimes I think that deep inside people already know. They already know once they step into a relationship or when they're in one that it's not right for them. But that whole like, I'm at this age, I will be alone, I don't want to deal with that. That pain is way worse than knowing exactly where I am right now. What advice or insight would you give to that?
Okay, so happiness, you can't find happiness in other people. I'm not going to be the first one to say this. There's many books that talks about this. To not feel alone is to be able to find happiness within you. So this still goes back to create the certainty in you, the life that you want to live, and take control of that. If you want to work out, find time to go work out. You want to do something that you love, find time to do that. Because when you're happy, when you're whole, everyone around you is going to feel that. And it's infectious, right? That's why self-care is so important. When you're on a plane, the instructions, the safety instruction always says, if anything happens, the adult, put on your safety mask or your breathing mask first before you put on the kid. Why is that? You do that so now you're taken care of. You feel good. You're oxygenated, and now you can help your kid. But if you don't have enough oxygen, you're scrambling to help them. Then what's going to happen to you? You're going to die. So when you feel whole, when you feel good, again, this is energy. When you're operating in a high vibration, high energy, what's going to happen is you're going to start to attract people that are in alignment. And if they're not in alignment, they're either going to meet you up there or they're going to fizzle away. And that is okay. Because one thing I've learned in life is that you're going to have experiences. All of our path are going to cross at some point. And when they cross, there is a reason why. Don't overthink it. Just enjoy the process. Steve Jobs says you cannot connect the dots looking forward, but you can looking backward.
Yeah.
So just trust the process and connect it later. Right.
Yep. No, that's powerful. Trust the process. Now, I want to go to a shift. Let's go into after you experienced the loss, how did your life change?
Oh, I was looking for help. I was paralyzed for 1 year. I did not have a place to stay. I was like couch surfing, different friends' place with a kid, with my son. I was staying this friend play for 2-3 months, that friend's place. I went to Taiwan to see my mom. I was staying on my friend's couch, and I had no idea what I was going to do. I was living in fear. I was, my therapist had given me all these pills, and I was looking for hope because, like I said, I couldn't get even my own mother. She could not tell me that everything's going to be okay. She was instilling more fear because she was so used to it. And I knew this wasn't working. And I had no idea what my life was going to be. I had no idea what I wanted to do. So I asked for help. I looked online. I looked for all the success stories. I was listening to podcasts like what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
And eventually, I came across Bob Proctor's, one of his video, and I had no idea who he was, by the way. Before him, I was listening to Earl Nightingale a lot. I've always been, right, the secret word. And when I came across him, and I truly believe the universe had put that video in front of me at the right time, at the right place. Because he said, you tell me what you want, I'll show you how to get it. Your success is absolutely guaranteed. These are very bold statements. People usually don't give you guarantee, but he did say you have to follow exactly what I say, right? So that's when I really started to study, and I started to look up to him as my mentor, and eventually, became one of his consultants and got certified with his company, Proctor Gallagher Institute. But that's when I learned, I was always open to get help. That's why I went to therapy for years.
Yeah.
But the thing is, that was the only thing I knew. I didn't know anything about the coaching world. I didn't know. I used to listen to Tony Robbins, but I didn't know there were programs out there to help me. So that's why I was saying to you earlier, it's like this whole world opened up. I was like, how come no one told me about this? I thought personal development is therapy. It's like, this is so new. Like, what is it? And from experience now, and now myself working with many clients, therapy, when you're there, I always say, if you want to talk about problems, you want to vent, you want to talk about the past, you go to a therapist. If you want to develop your faith, your belief in yourself, you want to move your life forward, you want to get very clear with what your life is about and start to take those actions every single day and manifest that into reality, that's when you find me. That's when you find a coach. Right? I don't like to sit there and talk about my past for a number of reasons. One, it's done. I can't change it.
Yeah.
It's done. Two, I'm only talking about the problems. I don't need that anymore. I've talked about it enough. 3, I don't like that energy. When I am in therapy session, I stay in that low vibration. When I leave, I don't feel better. I didn't have a solution. So those are not for me, but I'm not saying that's not for everyone. Everyone is different. You have to figure out where you're at, right? It was helpful because I've learned my paradigm. Yeah. But then I can move on. Then it's moving forward. Right?
Do you like the process of, I guess, the understanding piece where you get to really go into your story, your problems, and into the past? For you, was it helpful in being able to connect the dots as part of your journey? Do you feel that if you were to go back, do you need to connect the dots before you move forward into the next chapter or the next energy of your life?
That's a really good question. I honestly, if you're asking me right now with all the knowledge and everything I've learned, I would just move forward. I would have the awareness. I would understand we're all operating under this one mental faculty we have called memory, right? And understand how we use our human programming and move forward. Because looking back in every therapy session that I had, and I know everyone has a different therapy session, is I was talking about the problems. But in all the sessions that, we have right now, is we don't talk about the problems. I talk about what you want, and then we solve our way there. You see the difference? Before, I believe, that was my old belief, because all my friends believe that venting is healthy. You need to vent. I didn't like that though. But so when anyone called me, they want to vent, I get scared. I was like, you don't vent to me. It doesn't do good to you. It doesn't good to me listening. But if you identify the problem, know you want to be, then we could talk it through, because then you have an end result. You have an end goal. You have a resolution, right? Because I don't like to just stay in one place. We have to constantly be moving and have the courage to make the decisions, to take those actions. Even if you fall, you're going to rise up. You're going to rise higher. Right? You keep going.
Yeah, thanks for pointing out the key difference. I think for anyone considering therapy or coaching, it's really, some people might want to make sense of their past, and that's completely okay as well. And then if you need that, go and do that, and then, look towards the future. But life is never going to stop. It's always going to be changing. So I guess for a lot of people, there's also a time when you have to stop living in the past as well.
That's what I was gonna say. You like read my mind. I was like, you could go to therapy and learn about yourself, but don't stay in the past. Don't stay there. Get out. When you're out of the session, just know that's the past. It's been done. This is why the way I am. And then you have an opportunity to change because you have awareness. That's the difference.
Yeah. How has your life changed after receiving the training that you have, from then, and all the wisdom and knowledge until now? What's different?
Oh my gosh, so much. I have a purpose in life. I think that itself is more than enough for me. I have a purpose that every day I'm doing. I am rising, I am falling, I'm rising higher. Sometimes I fall bigger, but I'm moving. Regardless, I am moving forward. And that makes it fun, right? And now I understand manifestation and energy and everything that I've studied and we talked about is whatever I put my mind is going to, and it has to manifest into physical form, because that is a law of nature. The only time it doesn't is when I give up and when I let worry, doubt, and fear come into my place, right? That is a difference. And that to me is life. And be able to do that also, the money paradigm, the money belief, the money relationship, the money mindset, all that start to change. Before I raised by a single mom in the motel and government support, money was a big thing. It was a big problem. So I lived in fear. I was a hoarder. I saved, right? But now it's like, no, money. But what happened was I became the servant to money. And unfortunately, most people are like that. You become the servant to money. But now that because I have a purpose, all of a sudden the money became servant to me.
Powerful.
There is a desire to keep going. And that's why I say the purpose and desire and that obsession is going to be so key, because that is what's going to keep you moving forward. When I lost everything, why was I stuck? I didn't know what to do because I had no desire. I don't even want to go back to do what I was doing. I was completely lost. I was paralyzed. I didn't think I was good enough. But now all that doesn't even matter because I know what my calling is and I own up to it. And this is where you become one with your vision. You want to become one. Not the, oh, this is what I want to do. It's, I am doing this. It's happening right now.
Do you believe in terms of purpose, does everyone have one purpose, or or can it change? Are there multiple purposes? Because right now, as we're talking, we have a purpose, and it is to share and empower and inspire and all that, right? So there's purposes in a lot of things. I know for myself, I got really caught up in the past of like, I need that one purpose. And I put a lot of pressure on myself, and it caused a lot of issues as well. It's changed now. But for you, what's your view on purpose for people?
So I believe we all have a life purpose. And if you don't have it, I would say we all have that tiger. You just have to get it out, because probably somewhere in your life you're told that's, you be realistic, stop daydreaming and all that. Right? There is a life purpose. And then that is that big vision, big goal. Whatever that is, that's your North Star. That's the best way to say it, your North Star. Right? And every single day we are taking action, small steps. I would say 1% every day, just 1% better than yesterday. And you're only competing with yourself, not no one else. Just you stay in your lane, you focus on yourself, you do 1% better, and you follow the North Star. Right? I have my purpose right now. My goal, my purpose is to create positive impact to 1 billion people. So I'm doing that. That's why we connect. That's why I do the speaking engagements. That's why I do what I do. And I'm taking small steps right now to reach to that big goal. Right. So that's what I believe.
Yeah. And the process to be able to find our life purpose or to figure it out, what would be key if anyone was wanting?
Use your imagination. Really, like, go back to what you really want, like the question you want to be asking yourself. And this is a very simple question, but you'll be surprised most people don't know this question. What do you want? And start from there.
Yeah.
What do you want in your life? Don't let but that's not realistic. This is not, that's other people's thinking and belief that came to you, right? Like I said before, I didn't believe I could do what I was doing because my teacher said that I'm supposed to be a janitor. That was a belief that was instilled in me. I didn't believe my voice was meant for something because I was told that I'm not smart. But that's all BS. Belief system. That's a belief system. So just focus on what you want. Peel those layers, those habits of thinking and the beliefs that we've got from the outside world, and get in tune to your source, your perfect DNA, why you were brought to this world and what you're meant to do. And when you find that out, that takes time. That you want to be using your imagination. That's one of our mental faculties. We are all creative beings. We are all creative beings. Okay. Even in finance, accounting, you're still creative. That's why they call it creative accounting, right? We're all creative beings. And then you want to connect to your source. And when that moment happens, you will feel excited and exhilarated. You will feel happy and scared and purposeful and inspired all at once. And I didn't know how to do that at the beginning. That's why I found help. It's okay. I'm going to say this again. It is okay to ask for help.
Perfect. Yeah. Come to now. What are you working on these days, Lillian?
What am I working on? Honestly, changing people's life. I love seeing people rise up. I love people, seeing their growth in all areas. Either it's finance, either it's growing their family, either it's finally doing something that I always wanted to do. I have a client, before we started, she came in, she was frustrated because she couldn't get pregnant. She was told that she couldn't get pregnant. They went through IVF. And now she's pregnant. And not only that,
Wow.
she already has a child to her second. They're already planning on their third, because now they're operating from what they want and allowing things to flow and apply everything, all the tools that we're learning into our daily life. And that, when I say, all areas of your life and your family, that's what happened. I have another client, when she first started it, She was like, I want to get married, but she's like, I'm nowhere close to getting married. I don't even have a guy. And then now she's engaged. It's like they just came. Same thing in sales. I have another, I mean, I could talk about this forever because I love it. She was full of anxiety and full of fear, right? And she's in the real estate business and things were a little shaky. And then at the end, now she doesn't have that. No fear, no anxiety. When it creeps up, she knows how to handle it. And I call her the 8-figure like realtor, luxury realtor, because her deals now, everything she's manifested has been 8-figure deals, like 10 million
That's
plus.
so cool. Yeah.
You know, so when you're clear with what you want, that's when things will start to manifest. I've manifested. So since then, I told you about my crazy childhood and all that. I've manifested an amazing domestic partner. I'm not married. So in my life, exactly how I want it. I didn't hope and wish like someone good. He is exactly in every way that I wanted. He's also single dad. Our kids are the same age. You know, he's Chinese, which is, my ex-husband was Korean, but the reason why I want Chinese, so someone could talk to my mother in the same, my mom doesn't speak.
Convenient.
You know how it is, right? So,
yeah.
So he's so great. He's like my best friend. Me and my ex-husband, we're in a very amicable relationship because I ask myself, what do I want? What kind of relationship do I want? I don't want a toxic one. I don't want one that's, I don't have time for any of that, you know? So we're very amicable. And I wanted my son to live in a very happy life where he has his mom and dad. And now he does, and he's very happy, right? Even with everyone around me, all the new business partners I have, the new the accountabilities I have, these people came into life for a reason because I was very sure and I was very clear with the life that I wanted. So that's why whoever's listening, I want you guys to ask yourself that question. What do you want? And we start from there. Don't go backwards.
That's a mic drop moment right there. What do you want? Key and powerful question. Okay. So now I guess where can people best connect with you if they want to know what they want and really take themselves to the next level?
Yeah, I think the easiest way is I have an Instagram account. It's Lillian Victoria Official. So Lillian with double Lillian Victoria official. You can find me there, and then all my other informations are on there. That's the easiest way, and I could give you my other connect informations. But yeah, I'm looking forward to connect in any way. And thank you so much for listening to this episode.
Yeah, perfect. I will drop the links into the show notes. And finally, Lillian, I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. At this stage of your life right now, with everything that you know and everything that you are, what does fulfillment mean to you?
Fulfillment means joy, means peace. And the biggest difference is living in the state of gratefulness at all time. Living
Beautiful.
in the state of gratefulness, knowing that everything that comes to you, there's so much beauty in it, and always looking in the good. And that is fulfillment, because my life, I only live life once. And when you're in that kind of energy and frequency and peace and living the life that you desire, I'm happy. It's
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful and simple. What now come to, you mentioned as well earlier about the, this is one life that we get to live. With everything, all the plans, all the achievements, all the things that you have and will continue to manifest, and knowing that, your son will grow up and he will also have his fulfillment as well. When you look into the future and when one day it becomes your last day of earth and you have had so much joy, gratitude, and everything that you have manifested has come to life in your reality, what would be the message that you want to send to the world or leave us with?
You already have it all within you. don't go looking outside. If anything, you want to look inside. You're perfect the way you are. And I don't care how old you are, if you're men, you're woman, what color your skin is, you are perfect the way you are. I have clients anywhere from 20s to 60s. And once they identify that they are perfect, things don't change incrementally. Things start to change dramatically. Okay. In a good way.
Thank you so much for your time and your wisdom and this episode, this conversation. It's been inspiring for me. And I'm sure that you will continue to inspire anyone who listens to this episode and in the work that you do. So thank you so much.
Thank you.